What is up, everybody? This is official Jujutsu Kaisen translator Steady here. Welcome back to another Manga Lounge, Jujutsu Kaisen edition. So it's been a couple weeks. We had that break last week for the weekly Shonen Jump chapters, but we are back with a vengeance. Great chapter. We got a lot to cover. Mainly going to be talking about Choso's powers, kind of clear up a couple of things of confusion possibly. Just kind of elaborate on that as well. Just the amazing choreography that's going on here. Again, kind of touching upon the location, this bathroom that they're at, which is, if you've seen my previous video as well as my Twitter, it's real. I'll have some visuals for that as well. But also the big kicker here at the end, this kind of cliffhanger, and this is a perfect time to announce the fact that all the chapters of Jujutsu Kaisen are filled on the weekly Shonen Jump Viz app. Man, it feels good, and it couldn't have come at a better time because kind of the last batch, I believe, was from 35 to, I want to say like 39 or 40 or so. But 35 specifically is what this last page of chapter 105, this whole A Memory Was Born. It's, if you have a good memory, it's the same thing that happened between Todo and Itadori. But we'll get into more detail with that and what it actually means later on. I hope you got your drink ready. I got a little bit of coffee here for myself. Because, man, I need some coffee sometimes. We all know the feeling, right? But yeah, let's get right into the chapter. Chapter 105, Jujutsu Kaisen. Here we go. Let me take a quick moment to remind you to like the video, to comment and all that. If you are enjoying this little Manga Lounge Jujutsu Kaisen series, I catch myself watching YouTube sometimes, and even though it's a video series that I really like, forgetting to hit that like button and all that. So sometimes we just need a reminder, right? But thank you very much for spreading that positive juju and hitting that like button. Alright, so Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 105. We left off 104 with Itadori getting his liver pierced, which is not good news. But yeah, let's get right into it. Where we've got blood manipulation. We went with blood meteorite. It seems that Akutami Sensei is definitely kind of taking a little bit, for some of the moves anyways, with the blood manipulation, this kind of celestial, I don't know if celestial is the right word, but kind of like space theme to it, because we've seen supernova and now we have blood meteorite. And again, this is just this amazing Akutami Sensei masterclass in terms of this kind of fight choreography. You can see that Choso's got this blood meteorite hidden behind his sleeve there. I mean, it's so easy to miss, but just these kind of small details is what definitely takes it right above and beyond a lot of other manga, if you ask me. But Jujutsu Kaisen always, Akutami Sensei always has this just like amazing attention to detail, which gives it a sense of kind of realism, right? And it's an actual thought process, not just two guys just going at it, right? Although a lot of fists are being thrown as well. And that definitely, this kind of sparks this moment within Itadori, this kind of rekindled sense of purpose. And I love these kind of moments because whenever you get into these kind of longer arcs, a lot of fights after fights, the protagonists might start to kind of get in over their head a little bit, which definitely we saw in the previous chapter, and that was definitely on purpose, right? But Akutami Sensei gives this really nice moment here to Itadori saying, that's right, I'm here for this certain purpose, but it doesn't have to be me to achieve this purpose of saving Gojo. But I have to be the one to kind of contribute. I have to turn this fear that I have into this just kind of focus on the fight, because remember, he in the previous chapter, he was kind of getting a little bit over his head, like, oh, I got this. No, he didn't really say it as casual as I got this, but he was definitely like, I can win, right? Which of course, like I mentioned before, anytime someone's like, oh, I got this, I can win, that's always kind of a flag, right? But I love this panel right here on page 3. Itadori just kind of hunkering down. I understand my role. Turn fear into cursed energy and clear my mind of all distractions. So cool. Yeah, and I again, like I was saying, I like this on page 4. There's panel 4. It says, I don't have to be the one to save Gojo Sensei. You know, oftentimes in manga, it's always the protagonist, the one that kind of finishes it off, right? And maybe we will see this in this manga as well. But knowing Akutami Sensei's just kind of pattern, it very well might not be Itadori that's going to be kind of in the forefront of actually extracting Gojo, which I would actually appreciate, even though he is the protagonist. Anytime, you know, whenever it's always the protagonist getting the spotlight and this and that, it starts to kind of detach from the reality, right? Because, I mean, Itadori's only been in this game for like less than a year, and the realism of him accomplishing everything is not so realistic, right? But of course, kind of looking at the end of this chapter here, it looks like there are definitely going to be twists and turns along the way anyway, so. But then he gets into this kind of discussion about his powers here, so let's take it a little panel by panel here. So on page 5, panel 4, he talks about blood meteorite. He says how it hardens blood. It sounds like it's almost just kind of the extreme hardening of this blood, but it doesn't have the speed or the power of piercing blood, this one, right? So it doesn't really have the kind of the manipulation ability of piercing blood in terms of it, both its speed and its kind of just hitting power. So he kind of immediately mentions the fact that if I didn't catch Yuji unawares, off guard, then it probably wouldn't have done anything, or kind of minimal damage. But the fact that Yuji was kind of laxed was the opportunity to use this blood meteorite. But I like this because, again, this is kind of Akutami Sensei and Choso talking about the fact that this blood meteorite is a very circumstantial move. It can only work in certain cases, otherwise he would be using piercing blood. But the fact that piercing blood does take this, he has to use a convergence and then put his hands together for this piercing blood. Blood meteorite has its small advantages in the fact that it can be just kind of, as we saw Choso do, just wrapped up in his hand like that, and it can just be kind of shot out like a little surprise hit. He also goes on to explain that this the knife, I think we saw in chapter 102, 103 it might have been, he uses, it's called blood edge. So apparently you harden the blood, but you also have to give it a certain sort of lethality, kind of a slicing ability by actually kind of rotating this blood at high speeds. So it of itself is maybe not such a strong blade, but you have to kind of circulate it. And the way that it was kind of explained in the Japanese, Choso was definitely saying that it's only kind of works in certain circumstances again as well. Otherwise, it's maybe not. It's kind of a pain because you have to kind of form it, then you have to circulate this blood, and it can be kind of a process. So on pages 6 and 7 here, he goes on to talk about how now he can't control the blood outside of his body. Now he's going to have to control it within his body, and all he can really do is it's kind of this the flowing red scale, but he's also adding to it with this hardening of the blood within his body to kind of give him this extra power, this extra strength, right? But there is the risk of developing thrombosis. And thrombosis, just basically explained, is just kind of this idea of developing a blood clot. within the body, which basically restricts blood flow, and it can even lead to things like pulmonary embolisms, they call it, where by this blood clot all of a sudden just kind of detaching and going through the blood system, it might even get into like the lungs and stuff, create serious breathing problems. Obviously there's a lot more issues, blood going to the brain and things like that too, so blood clots are no joke. But Choso determined that Itadori was the more severe threat, and he was willing to take that risk. But then we move on to page 14 here, and remember a few pages back, a few chapters back, Itadori got hit with that piercing blood to the arm, and which kind of immobilized his left arm. But he also mentioned at the time too that I am going to use my left. And at the time we were kind of confused, like, what does that mean? But perhaps he was kind of foreshadowing to this moment right here, where he says that he hasn't used his left since the very first hit. And he's been kind of slowly convincing Choso that he can't use his left anymore. So he went in for the feint with the right, but then came in with the left. But again, reality hits. Choso's just too smart. And Choso lands a hit right onto Itadori, and that's pretty much the KO hit right there. And Choso reveals what's going on. He used the blood manipulation to harden the blood around his around his right torso area, predicting that Yuji would have this moment coming in with the left, which is just absolutely brilliant, right? And I like this little shot right here on the penultimate page 18 here, of this kind of the bathroom shot. Got my Google Maps image right here to kind of give you a little comparison. It's really cool. Although the Google Maps version, they were under construction right here on the left side. But this last page, I love this little line that Choso says: "When you get to the other side, be sure to ask for my brother's forgiveness." Which I love that. But then all of a sudden, at that moment, a memory was born inside Choso's brain of a past event that never happened. Which I remember seeing this and immediately being reminded of Todo's moment with Yuji, which I'm sure a lot of you special grade Jujutsu fans out there noticed as well. And it's certainly the same line that was in chapter 35 as well. So just kind of a little reminder what happened then in chapter 35. It was during the Goodwill event, right? And then Itadori, basically Todo comes in and just tells everyone to get the hell away. Itadori's mine, and they're going at this fight, right? But then there was this moment where Todo had this memory sprung into his head of an event that never happened, a memory that shouldn't exist, right? Which is really interesting, because at the time it was almost kind of like a weird, like, I don't want to say a throwaway, but it was kind of like almost like a weird joke. It was like Todo is just kind of so eccentric that maybe I certainly at the time took it as just some sort of kind of weird, like, Todo eccentricity thing. But after reading chapter 105 here, certainly the common thread is Itadori. So it wasn't Todo, it was Itadori that was creating this memory. Because at the time in chapter 35, we thought maybe it was just kind of this weird thing that Itadori and Todo had, this weird connection or something, but it's not, as far as we can tell here anyway. So what does this really mean? Certainly, once it's kind of like I was mentioning before in chapter 35, it's almost just kind of like a little joke or something like that. But twice now, you're kind of like, okay, now this is a thing. if the previous occurrence with Todo was anything to go by, we might see something kind of really weird in the next chapter, right? Because in chapter 35, it kind of went back to Yuji and Todo's like high school days, even though they weren't classmates or friends or anything, right? All of a sudden, it was this weird kind of like episode of them being friends, and this and that. So maybe we'll see something kind of weird like that between Yuji and Choso here as well, which would be really cool, and maybe the brothers will be there as well. So obviously this begs the question, what's really going on? What is this whole like sparking of this memory thing? It can, in my humble opinion, it can kind of go in one of two ways, right? It can have something to do with Sukuna, or it can have something to do with Yuji. And obviously immediately you're kind of like, well, it's got to have something to do with Sukuna, right? Because it's Sukuna is just, you know, the king of curses. He's probably got all these kind of different powers and stuff. But you have to kind of remember that that with Todo, it's not like Todo's a curse or anything, so it's not like he would have some sort of connection with Sukuna. I'm led to believe that it has something to do with Itadori, kind of this latent power within Itadori, because obviously we don't know too much about Itadori's background, although we can assume, kind of by what the grandfather was saying at the very beginning of the series, that he's got some sort of lineage, right? And he, in classic Shonen Jump style, he's probably got some sort of this latent power within him. But yeah, I mean, that's only as far as we can really surmise here. I don't know if it's gonna, I mean, perhaps it's a curse technique. I don't know, maybe it's a curse technique, and it's starting to kind of manifest in these very high stress situations, because it's not like Itadori, that's another question as well, right? Like, what's the trigger? Because it's not like every time he's had a fight in the past, it all of a sudden this triggers this memory thing. In the previous version with Todo, he wasn't even unconscious, right? Although he was very much in a high stress situation, he was kind of on the ropes a little bit, right? And here certainly he's unconscious, so it's not like he's even doing it consciously. Which definitely kind of leads me to believe that it is this sort of kind of latent power that he's really not even aware of. I'm pretty sure, because with the whole I call it brainwashing with Todo and Yuji. Yuji was like, I have no idea what happened, right? So that's very interesting. I mean, it's hard to tell. Which is half the fun, right? And kind of finding out what's going to happen with this, what it all means. But yeah, I mean, it's the more you talk about it, the more you kind of go down this rabbit hole. You just have to kind of take the hints as they come, and it's fun to theorize, but you know, you just have to kind of get excited for what might happen down the road. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got. I know it's a lot of rambling and stuff too. I'm trying to wrap my head around what's going on as well. But yeah, I obviously want to take this moment to say thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting if you do choose to do so. Thank you for spreading that positive juju and hitting the like button if you do choose to do so. It's really fun doing these videos, and really fun kind of having this dialogue with you guys in the comments and stuff too, and seeing how excited people are getting. But yeah, chapter 105, that's another awesome chapter in the books. Hopefully there won't be any problems with chapter 106 coming out next week. I just kind of got an update kind of through the grapevine that perhaps we might expect some delays and stuff with everything that's going on. But it seems like Shueisha's doing a pretty good job of getting the chapters out to the fans. So, and of course, I'll do my best as well. So, yeah, thanks very much, and we will see you next week, you know how we do. Cheers to you. Mata yoroshiku!